Good afternoon, everyone. Just let me know if you could hear me, please. 1 second. Yeah. All right, so it is delayed a bit. Chat. Okay, in the chat, if anyone is online and could hear, could you please let me know if you're hearing me? I see 3 people, including myself, online. So just want to make sure. We do have a couple minutes again before we get started. Loud and clear. Thanks, Base 2. Thanks, Gregory. Okay, so we're just going to wait a couple minutes again. The stream starts at 6, so I just want to make sure that everything is okay before we get started. Hi, Christine. Good afternoon. Christina. Somebody know you. Hi, Roland. Good afternoon. Hey, Henry. Good afternoon. Hey, Henry. Yeah. Buenos dias. Oh, that's somebody's name for you?
Yeah, only one household is called my
Ah. Oh, Buenos dias. Okay, now I get it. Because I read it as Buenos dias. But I now realize Benos. Okay.
Yeah, I ready
I kind of slow earlier. I kind of slow.
Since we didn't start yet, am I ready to tell you what he mean?
What do you mean?
Okay. Ben is Benos dias. That's Roland.
Yeah, tell me what you mean though.
Now I won't tell you. Roland is with your band. Your champion band.
Hi, Roland.
Oh boy, sorry I said that.
Yes.
I know you're here, Roland.
Not bad. No, I just wanted to give you an extra shout out because you see how you play with my champion band. So, all right. So it is 6 o'clock now, and we do have 20 people on the stream, so we can get started. Henry made it to my first Panorama final since 2019. We need to go back to 12 bands. Okay, people starting some hot topics already. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone in the stream. I am Tisha. If you're not familiar with my channel, I'm living my life. And this is Ben Jackson. He is a drill master as well as a conductor for steel bands. I met Ben during Panorama in New York last year. I visited Despas USA Panyard just to get some content and some footage to meet some of the players. And I met Ben, and since then I've been fortunate to see him in action while working with the Fonclair family of bands, Super Vibes, Fonclair, Fusion Steel, So we've talked a few times on Pan, and he has some interesting takes, so I just wanted to get his opinion. So Ben, thank you for taking the time for doing this interview with me today. All right?
You're welcome. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. So for those of you for the audience who is not familiar with you and the kind of work you do you mind giving me a brief overview of your background as a drill master, as a conductor, as brief as you can make it, so.
Okay. My name is Ben Jackson. Some of my friends refer to me as the known that is unknown. A lot of people will hear the name, but they don't really know the person. My life in music and in steel band started over 40 years ago at the pioneer of the then Laventille song specialist, now court song specialist of Laventille, and with the Success Laventille Composite School Success Stars Pan song. Just started as a regular person who wanted to learn to play the instrument. Well, started to play by accident, as a matter of fact. I went to drop a message in the pan, I ended up behind a pan, and the rest after that is history. But being a part of Success.
The senior volume is low.
The volume is low.
1 second. Talk again.
Is it better?
Is it any better?
I have to hold the mic up.
Okay, so here. Okay, some.
Can I
All right.
his mic?
So we'll do that for now.
Is this better?
Sorry about that, yo.
Not really better.
Not really better.
Somebody say it always good.
Okay, is it good or is it not good? I'm not sure.
Yes,
Okay,
better.
that's better. All right.
So I guess it's the mic. Yeah, so. Okay, so let's go. So again, my name is Ben Jackson. I've been involved in the steel band world for 40 plus years. Started not wanting or set out as to play the instrument, but by accident, I started to play at the Laventille Song Specialist Spaniard with Laventille Song Specialist, now court song specialist of Laventille, which automatically I end up with Success Laventille Composite School Success Stars Pan song as a player. And as time went on, just playing wasn't enough. I was given the opportunity or the task to rehearse the band, that is Success, and the opportunity of reaching to the Panyard early at song specialists with a young group to practice by myself, to, who reached first was able to run the rehearsal and these different things. And then working with Success over the years, having to teach my peers and younger people how to play, not realizing that I was developing myself as a teacher, or now as people want to call us drill masters, but is a lot more than that. And my humble journey started in a music room at Success Laventille, and I think my eyes opened to what's happened with Pan when I toured Canada with Success in 1991. When I realized what happened with Pan in Canada and all the different schools and whatnot, it changed my perspective of what we was doing here in Pan. And when I came back from that tour, that decision for me to learn to read music came in, and I started to learn to read music with the guidance of Mr. Sean Lewis, and a lot of self-taught to get around the things that I wasn't understanding because we was taught by a keyboard piano diagram, and I automatically changed it around and was able to use all the instruments, all the pans to teach me the different rudiments in music. So now, in my life as a music teacher, I also taught music. I always use the pan to teach music.
Okay, thank you. So, with respect to drilling and drill master, what would you say are the, fundamental principles or what a drill master must have? I know in visiting Panyards, it seemed different from Panyard to Panyard for me, but I was just curious your perspective on what a drill master is.
Sometimes I explain drilling depending on who I'm speaking to different ways. And in some cases, I explain it as you are a contractor. So the people who build the house, that is the arranger. They build the house. And the person who have to paint the house, make sure the wall is smooth enough so that the paint, that is the driller. right? In landscaping, the person who could watch a rough piece of land and make it into a beautiful something, that is, I look at it from that point of view. So when I enter the panel, I listen to the song, you will always hear people saying, I don't like this song. I don't like what direction it's taking, because at that point in time, everybody just playing. Nobody not giving way for, giving way for this part to pass. So we started working on it like that. But for me, a lot of people feel drilling is the ability to just knock the pan and say, let me go from here and count 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to be able to explain to people what they're playing. Sometimes you have to teach people how to play what they're playing. That's also make a difference. So in a lot of cases, you have people playing the groove of the pan, but so you ain't really hearing what they're doing. So for me, in drilling, one of the key things is your eyes. People that feel it's their ears because you want to hear the music. Sometimes you will see something, and when you address what you see, then it fixes. There's this thing, people like, they had to drill the whole song. We face it, we have 12 notes. We have certain patterns, we have certain notes, crotchets, quavers, semi-quavers, runs, 4 notes in a beat, 6 notes in a beat. It's the same thing, different phrases, and you move. It's not just knocking the pan and counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I don't knock the pan. That's the next thing. I don't knock the pan. But it's not just being able to stand up in front of the band and you in charge of the rehearsal. It takes a lot more, because you will have players in front of you who really cannot play the instrument properly, like using the proper hand technique, the proper stance behind the instrument and whatnot. So for me, it is a little more deeper than just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or go from this part or go from the next part.
Okay, so I know that you're a conductor as well. Can you touch on conducting and how you got involved in conducting? And I do notice that in some bands there is a handoff from drill master to arranger and so forth.
So let me just get this question clear and put it into a different perspective. Are you speaking about being in front of the band on the stage at Panorama time, or actually conducting a steel band?
Well, I think some people think one is the other. So we expect you all to be conducting, but to me it's part of the showmanship. But I just want to hear your take on it, because I do know that you conduct as well.
Okay, so for Ben Jackson, the conductor, that will come from concerts and festival, right? My beginning in conducting started off by same success stars, preparing for a festival. Mr. Lewis seeing about everything else. I have to run the rehearsal and stand up in front of the band and gimmicking the conductors that I have seen, the Pat Bishop, the Prospect, the Jerry Jamot, and stand up in front of the band and gimmicking the band and say, who does conduct like this? And they're calling the name. But then I realized, but the band following my instructions. No matter what I did, they keep following my instructions. And in the 1991 school festival, as a player with success, the test piece was a piece by Andrew Tanker called Lament of a Flower. I had this nice story to the song. And one of the parts of the story is the fight between the tractor and the flower. And we had a sweet arrangement of it. Preliminary, the judge said it was sweet, it's too nice, it wasn't rough. Semi-final, the same thing. But for the finals, Mr. Lewis went out and I changed the arrangement of the part. And when he came back to the rehearsal, I was nervous, I was frightened because Mr. Lewis is buff. And I played it for him. And he was impressed with it. He came in with Carrie Quadrington and Lennox Salvery and Pat McNeely. And they were impressed with what they heard. And I was actually conducting it. Now, he had to learn it because he's the conductor of the band. And I think at that point in time, if you ask him now, at that point in time, he made up his mind that I was going to conduct the band at the festival. But he didn't say anything to me. And we went through a whole week of rehearsal. He don't know the part. I had to keep conducting it. On the night of the festival, we went out on stage. We played our tune of choice first. he came off the podium and walked up to me in front of the band and say, "You want to conduct the band?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he handed me the conducting baton and he walked off. At that point, I still didn't believe I was going to conduct the band. And when the judges gave us the nod to start the next piece, I went to the podium and I started to conduct. And the complex was in an uproar at the end. And that is how my conducting journey started, right? Very not knowing what was going to happen, but I think I was preparing myself for it. After that, I did festival with success for a number of years, solo pan, song specialist. My biggest success was with Skiffer Bunch in the 2000 World Festival. We won that festival. I have been known as Mr. Flamboyant because I like to run off the stage and lead the band rolling notes and cut off the band from up in the stands. People will still talk about these things. To the Panorama part now, that a lot of people is talking about the people in front of the band expressing themselves freely and enjoying the music that they create, right? Especially arrangers. In this case, a lot of people talks about Duvon, right? Because this started with Bradley, right? Bradley is the person who started to stamp in front of a band for Panorama, right? But people like to talk about Duvon, and then you see the Kirsch Ramsey and these people, they are expressing themselves with their music. What is a conductor? The only difference with what them doing is that the whole band cannot see them. But sometimes when you look at them, you could actually hear what the band is playing. And people seem to have an issue with it. And it is not. People had an issue with me as a steel band conductor also, because I know it is a conducting battle, right? Not all conductors use battle. We are not conducting strings instrument. We are conducting pitch percussive instrument. That is an instrument you strike to get song, right? So your style could be different. You will feel at one with your orchestra when you do something different. So the people who want to keep putting us in the box that what we're doing in front of the band on Panorama stage now, don't get me wrong, I don't like it, because I'm not really good at it when it comes to Panorama, and I'm being real. That is not me. Panorama in front there, if you remember, Fusion Steel this year for Panorama finals. The reason why I end up in front of Fusion Steel is because we took a chance. And we added a piece to the song, and the night before in rehearsal, I know the band could have seen me because how the setup and how the band was small. And I said, "Oh, look at me. Just look at this." And I was able to hold the band rolling. And then when I bring down my hand with force, the band moved. I said, "Okay, all good. I will go ahead." And they was like, "Well," I said, "No." And I had to do it for the finals. Darren, the band, everybody, we doing this. It don't matter what happened after, we doing this. So Fusion Steel finals, what happened at the end, I could have still been holding that band rolling all now. They would have not moved to the next note until I give the direction. You could address that as conducting. 2023, pioneer 21st century, supernovas, same thing. Just to show it different, because people was talking, people saying, "But we do it in front of the band. Them is not no conductors. Them don't know what they're doing." And it's about time. It's about time to the more we try to climb, the more we try to fight, the things changing. And if there's the direction it's going, it's not a bad direction. People expressing themselves. People work hard in the panier, and if they feel to come in front of the band and think, let them do it.
So when you say the same goes for, because every time I post a video from Panorama or whatever, and there's more than one person on the stage, there will always be a comment on why are there so many people on stage, So do you think the same applies in terms of expression?
Do you
have any
like when bands
about more than one person being in front the
band?
band?
I go say to each his own, for me, my personal opinion, I prefer to see one person. I prefer to see one person giving that direction. Unless they're doing a dance or something, the case may be. That is my preference. But if that is what the arrangers and whoever feel to do, fine. My preference is one person directing the band or doing whatever, cool.
Thank you. All right. So, moving on to Panorama stuff right now. I'll come back to some other questions, but with Panorama this year, there's been a lot of talk on social media, and I just wanted to address some of those. I mean, the conducting was one of those repeated comments that I got all the time on my videos. Another thing is the judging criteria. All right, so we know each band is allotted a score of 100 points, 40 points for general performance, 40 points for arrangement, 10 points for rhythm, 10 points for tune. And it seems as though this year and last year there were a bunch of ties, but this year, it was a lot more ties than usual. We had cases for like junior panorama where four people tied for second place. And I think for small bands, four bands tied for fifth place, right? So, do you think that there's anything that could be improved about the judging system? One, we could address the judging system and the current state of it right now. And if there are any improvements that can be made to, I guess, make it seem less corrupt. I mean, people cry that it's a corrupt system, but you know, what about the system right now could facilitate all those ties?
I still try to figure out why it is a corrupt system, why people see it's a corrupt system. And I guess that comes from ignorance, not knowing how the system is run. So I know one of the cry was why the president of Panchimego band winning the competition and so on. So it's clear that the people who ask these questions knows nothing about steel band and the steel band movement. They knows nothing. So let me just go back and check. I guess this president, as opposed to the presidents for the past how many other years, I will want to say have the most successful steel band. All the people in the past presidents were either managers of a steel band, just as she is, or affiliated with a steel band. Because for those who don't know, you cannot be on the executive of Panchimego if you are not affiliated with a steel band. Right? In 2011 and 2012, Mrs. Ramsey Moore was not the president of Panchimego, and Cats and Jammers were Panorama champs for those 2 years. Back to back, they tied in 2011, they won by themselves in 2012. And then you had the whole thing of medium band and Tobago. Tobago have been dominating the medium band category in Panorama 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. As a zone, Tobago, in those years, and before and even after, the Tobago zone had the most steel band, most medium band at the Panorama finals. So there's a lot of things that people will talk about and they don't really know. Right? So that is the part they talk about is corruption, and then you talk about the sponsorship of BP sponsoring Renegades and sponsor. Please, then who? Who coming forward to release and sponsoring the panoramas and helping the bands and stuff and whatnot? I think we need to we nitpicking at the things that putting a bad taste in what people working so hard to achieve in the panorama to make people happy around Carnival time, and again that's where competition is concerned. Right? So that part of the corruption, that people who not knowing. They don't know. Everybody, Owen Serra, the late Owen Serra, God rest him soul, he was the manager of Soul Harmonites and then Solo Panites. Panites never win a panorama yet. They never even win a festival. Right? Harmonites won Panorama before. Serra wasn't president of Pan Trinbago. I don't even know if, well, I guess he wasn't harmonized back, because I was in the 70s, they're talking about, who again? Patrick Arnold, our boys. Our boys ever win a Panorama? No. So we need to move from that and let it go on. As far as the judging, you must have ties. You will have ties because people, you're adding points. And once you're adding points, you can end up with ties. I have no issue with the judges. They are human, and their job is to give their opinion, right? And my opinion is my mother used to make the best sweetbread. But that is my opinion. Somebody else will say their mother's sweetbread better than my mother's sweetbread. That is the people's opinion, and they give scores. The only thing with the judges is how me are confused. They might give 32 and tell you good. I might tell you how to improve or what they expect to hear. That is my only thing. No, the system could be different, right? I spoke about this a number of times. I even raised it. We had a judges conference with UTT a couple of years ago, and I raised it at that conference also, where I think we should use the merit system. Because if we hire judges to do individual judging of a competition, it is not fair to take away this person's opinion or add my opinion with your opinion. That person's opinion should stand on its own. How are we achieving that? If we have 10 bands in the Panorama finals and we have 11 or 13 judges, an odd number, the chances of ties is slim to none. Because what we're doing now, the merit will simply be how many judge has band B first. How many bands have band D first. And you award marks to that, to the first place. So for every first place, 15 marks. And so on. And then at the end of that, you total that now. And then you find you get Panorama winners. Because you have things like this happen. In the preliminaries of the small band Panorama, for preliminaries Panorama, when they call the results, they call it per judge. So everybody just mark it down, so everybody just see the master. After that, we don't see a master. But two judges had the band I work with in first place. We came sixth. You know why? One of the judges had at first, pull alternate.
So this is two of the three judges.
So now the add the score of the three remaining judges. For preliminaries, there are 4 judges.
Right, and one is
one at the end of the competition, they pull for one to be the alternate judge.
okay.
And the alternate judge don't points don't count to your final results. So one of the judge that pull alternate is the one that had us first. That person put alternate. So that point's gone. So the next 3 judges' points that count had us 6. At the finals, this will happen. A judge will give you a high mark. Not saying that the high mark the judge gives you is the highest mark the judge gives. So for example, a judge gave us 94 in the finals. That judge mark did not count for us because that's the highest mark we received. And then the second highest mark we got, that judge pulled alternate.
Oh.
So that is why I am saying with this system is concerned that the system needs to change to a rank system. And it will be fairer for the bands and even the judges because you hire the judges to be an individual. The judges can't collaborate on the table, you know. They can't talk to one another. Hey, what happened after the intro when the band started? You hear something? They can't talk to one another. They sit down and they mark, right? And that is where it is. Now, if we had the ability to check the Panorama results, the band that come first and the band that came second could have 3 different people's scores counting as the final score.
The band that came first and the band that came second.
Could have 3 different judges' points that counting as the point that was announced for them.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because the 6 judges, 1 per alternate, so that 1 score in counting for nobody. But the next 5 people, if you're going and add up band A score, the person that gives band A the highest, points not counting. The person that gives the lowest, not counting. Right? But for band B, the person that gave band A the highest could have given band B the second highest. So that point going and count for them.
So in both cases, prelims as well as finals, it's only 3 judges' score that counts.
In all cases, only 3 judges come that score. The difference in prelims, you only have 4 judges, 1 person's score coming out. But from semis to finals, you have 6 judges. Alternate score come out, and whoever get the highest and the lowest.
Okay, and with this proposed ranking system, I think it was introduced last year for
England?
Oh. Yeah. Right? Would you say, because Panorama has been doing a really good job at releasing the scores, I guess, within an hour of the last band.
The results?
Yeah.
Okay.
The results. Do you see this proposed system delaying when we could get the results?
No.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't delay because you have people who doing the tabulations right after, and we in the computer era, things flipping fast.
I know we are in computer era, but sometimes we tend to rely on paper a lot too. So I'm not sure. I don't want to underestimate what happens behind the scenes, so not even like that. Right, so I was just curious. All right, so with respect to ties, I know that you mentioned 3 judges could add up the same score, and I could see it as just addition. With the ties and money, out of curiosity, are you aware of what happens with the prize money for instances like that? So like that 5th place that went to 4 bands. Is it that 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all their pools of money, I guess, added and then split evenly among them?
I think what has happened is, so if it's from 5th to 9th, wherever, if you have a tie, the prize, so if you have a tie for second, the second and third prize money is joined together and split with the bands. I think I heard last year when I had the tie for first, I think Panch and Bago made the adjustment and they gave the both bands. I'm not sure about it. I think I heard it, but I'm not sure if that happened.
Okay.
Oh no, I just seen somebody here say skip a question. I didn't answer the questions. I don't know what was the question, so I'll go back and answer it.
What was the points? I did ask about the ties. I'm not sure if that's what's being referred to.
Oh, well, maybe the person could send it back. Humble African.
All right, Humble Africa. I don't see that here.
The Humble African say I didn't answer a question.
So Humble African, did he answer the question eventually? He said, "Now we're talking." He said he changed his. Okay, so I think he did. All right, so we move on. Yes, you answered the question. Thanks, Humble African. All right, so not necessarily a debate that I've seen with Panorama online, but something that I observed when I went to different panyards. I observed, okay, so like for small bands, I observed I won't say many players, but there were players who played with maybe 3 to 4 small bands or single pan bands, So we have multiple players playing with different bands in the same category. And I'm just curious, what causes that? Is it that the players aren't compensated fairly? Is it that they're using it as a money issue? I'm sure it could be one of the two, but in your opinion, are players compensated fairly that could be fair enough that could deter them from going from one band to the next? Or is it a case where, because I am curious, because I think small band had the majority of bands, right? And I'm curious, are there too many bands in the competition? You know, why is it that we have so many players moving from band to band to fill up space in bands? Is that something that you could address or have an opinion about?
Um, that question has so much different angle. You will have players who will be playing because they're not compensated fairly by bands. Then you will also have a lot of bands lack of players. Um, so that question, we're still searching for the answer for that question. I mean, for years they tried to get the players to play for one band, but the topic of the compensation check, it was $1,000, and I had a issue with it, with the check, that people didn't think. I wasn't seeing the check. I was saying that bands should find a way, and there were a lot of bands, there were a lot of names that call them, that we call steel bands in Trinidad and Tobago, that they will only try to come out for the Panorama and really not doing the work during the year to help to build a band, to create their base, right? To get players to stay with the band and be attracted to the band, because there are bands where players only play for that band alone. So the players who enjoy doing it, they know why to do it. I could tell you, for me, back then when I used to play, there was one year I played for 7 bands.
Wow.
And I played for 7 bands, and back then was one Panorama. It didn't have small, medium, and large, which is our next topic. And I played for 7 different bands because at that point in time I was trying to find myself in the industry, or what I really wanted to do. So I wanted to get the opportunity to play for different arrangers, understand different style. And then what was happening back then too, I think I was wasting time in the Panyard. Sometimes I reach in the Panyard for 7, the band finishing practice 3 o'clock in the morning. And if you really put time to how much time you practice, it might have been 2 hours to 3 hours. Other than that was a lot of time wasting, and I decided to go and play for other bands. Not on a contract, not to be paid, but just to get the knowledge, to work with, to play different arrangers' music, just for me to understand how other bands will run. So I did that once, and never played for 7 again. I played for 2 or 3. But that was me back then. It wasn't like this. We didn't have that check to collect, the case maybe.
But I do see Panera said because to getting paid or the love of pan. So, and play best 868 says we just love playing pan. So, yes, I guess, a lot of people do it just for the love of pan. So, that is cool. Question, why don't you support your hometown band?
My hometown band, I do.
What do you mean support, Mike? Because to me, support comes in different ways. So, what do you mean by support? So, we wait on that.
I think I could answer Mike, because I saw Mike. I think Mike was asking me to talk about my song specialist history, and so I guess he's talking about. I guess he asking a question that he don't know the answer for. Well, that was a question because he don't know the answer. But then he can ask me why I don't support my hometown band. So he sound like he know I don't support my hometown band. So Mike, if the question in this case, my hometown band being song specialist, Lord, you're smart, sir. If it's talking about chord song specialist of Laventille, I guess I could tell you I do support my hometown band. I don't work for my hometown band, but I do support my hometown band. You could speak to if you know the manager, the captain, or anybody, or any player as that from the band, they will tell you that I I'm there supporting my band. In what way? I will always pass. Taking the rehearsal, I will talk to the arranger, I will talk to the driller, the captain will always call, and I could tell you, everybody know that I am the person who also set up song specialists for Panorama.
Okay. So one other question from me, based on discussions that I've heard in Panyans, as well as online, there's a lot of support. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there is support for bringing prelims back to the Savannah, and the different, I guess, arguments for that I've heard was that one, everybody's playing on the same stage, so each panel has different acoustics, so it levels the playing field. Another thing that I heard, of course, for that was some bands do not make it to the Savannah, right? So having all the bands at prelims at the Savannah would be one way for the bands to get a taste of that. Do you have any opinion on that statement? Bring prelims back to the Savannah?
Okay, so there was never a time that all the band preliminaries used to be at the Savannah, right? Preliminaries used to be according to your zone. So all the South band used to play in Skinner Park, the Northeast bands used to play in the Savannah, Tobago band used to play in Tobago. What I think if you do it in the zones, I think all bands should have one common venue to play in for the preliminary at the Panorama, right? Okay, so in the case of the large bands, like especially this year when all went on to the semifinals, that was different, right? Because none stayed home, right? And this is not the first that has happened. Anyways, people went off on that also, but this is not the first time that all large bands went to the semifinals, right? So, yeah, I agree. I think we should bring competition down to 2 rounds. I have a different thing for the Panorama, and it's to touch on the economics of the business too, because sometimes when you go to a band to listen to them for Panorama, and I'm not talking about the music here, talking about the whole condition of the band, the instrument, the people the amount of players you're seeing, and that's coming out for the appearance fee, and these different things. We need to make the thing a little harder to get into, right? We could, maybe make it 2 categories of Panorama. Call it whatever we want to call it. 2 categories of Panorama, conventional Panorama. Make it harder for the bands to want to come and play in the top category. You can just decide I want to come, and move. Make it the bands who not make it in the top category go down. What will happen? What could we do to make this happen? What kind of changes have to be made? The prize money and appearance, we have to be a little more attractive, right? Because when you say look at it, the band that will win the medium band category at the Panorama will get more money than the band that finish at the bottom at the large band Panorama. I don't think it should be like that. The medium band category is a lower category than the large band, right? The large band is the highest category. So the bottom price in the large band should be more than the top price in the medium. However, because you come to the bottom now in the last 3 or 4 bands in the large are going down to the medium now. And we're going to bring up the top 4 bands or top 3 bands to play to go in the higher price bracket. But if the price structure ain't changed, I could see why the dominating medium bands, there are bands that even before, Cats and Jammers were the last 2 medium band Panorama. Cats and Jammers announced that they're going to the large. That's nice. But even before Cats and Jammers' dominance on the medium band Panorama, you had other bands, 2007, 8, 2006, 2009. These bands stay and still in the medium band category. Why? Because the prize money they're getting for winning is more than if they go and fail in the large. What encouraging to move and to make the competition that stronger. We had to figure out a way, and then we're going to need more sponsors. You're going to need more sponsors. So that every steel band who have a sponsor got to be sponsoring the Panorama, so they're put more money in it. But we have sponsors and people trying to complain about it to make it worse.
Okay, so I'm going outside of Panorama now. For bands and self-sufficiency. One thing that I do realize, or I have observed, I should say, is I'm always amazed by how little entry fees are to get into pan events, and in many cases it's free. A lot of cases it's less than 100. And I know people always say that it is expensive to maintain a band, it's expensive to tune pans, it's expensive to transport pans to and from. So I was curious, do bands just eat those costs based on your experience? Do they rely solely on sponsorship to host the events? Or, what can be done, in your opinion, to encourage people to pay to attend these events?
But because I'm not in management, I can't talk about how they get around paying the courses and whatever. What I know is hard, right? A man can put the 6 bass in the car and meet the band the Savannah or wherever it is. Steel band and the people who claim that they support steel band only support steel band in the majority when the event is free. The Savannah, the venue at the Queen Panorama is not a big capacity. I think the drag does have more people than the stands because the drag is free, right? And I think we have to find a way to even cut down on that drag because pan have no respect on the drag. The drag is about people crowding the road, and pans have to beg to pass. That is one. But outside of Panorama, we have events, but people don't really support most of the events like that. If it's not a competition, we say there's the Mecca, right? Why we can't have an event, we say in the stadium and it full out. Just like if somebody is going to do a concert. It don't have that support, but free. World Steel Band Day 2023, they couldn't get you Woodford Square. And I think somebody had something right after that in a way smaller venue, and they could have get you normal. And that's just where it is. There are steel bands who try to do concerts, but because you're not getting the support and they put on the concerts, you don't do it. I think All Stars still they still do classical jewels. They brought it back, but I don't know how much nights classical jewels went from 2 weekends a concert. When it started, it might make one night now, right? I think was it 2017, 2018. Renegades had a nice concert at government campus, real nice concert. They never had it again. They never had it again because it didn't really making financial sense at time to do some of these things, because it is very expensive for steel bands to put on a show when you're talking about quality, right? Because song system for steel band is very hard to get a good engineer to mic a band and to make your band sound proper. These things is very costly for a steel band to really put on such a show and to build a stage to do what is necessary and even to rent the halls and them. So it's really difficult. I would always say steel bands to try to do more, but the question is when they keep trying to do more, where the outlet is only at Panorama.
in your opinion, can panists make a living off of pan?
Can panists make a living out of pan? Well, they have a lot of lanes, eh? I think some people doing it. I know, especially outside, because out in North America and even in England, you see these people with, they live off right, they gigging and stuff and thing. Again, it comes back to the same thing. I will listen to some of the younger ones who, in the soloist thing, who looking for little gigs. People would want to pay them nothing to come to play. People call me and ask me, I need a panist to play for. What do you want them to play for? You want them to sit down there for the whole night in your event that going for 2 hours to play one song in the middle. And you don't want to pay them for the 2 hours you have them sitting down there. So some people might be getting through with it because of the avenue and the lane, and then some people struggling to get it done. But I think if the people who want the stage band to play respect what these people have to do to come to entertain you, they will pay them accordingly. They'll pay them right, just like everybody else in the field. Because if we're talking about culture, the person who is the MC, the YMC looking nice, right? You go pay the MC. The person who is the pan man, and the YM song you go down looking nice too, why you not paying him? You bring a soca artist to sing, and you will pay him. One to the pan man. And that is the problem. So the people who doing it, they are the ones who have to answer if they're living from it. While I will also agree that a lot of them have to take it much more serious and be more professional to live in it, I think in the majority, they are not respected.
Okay. So I do see Playbus 868 says, I wish you bring medium band Panorama back to Trinidad. That has also been, a comment that has been repeating itself throughout the season. Any thoughts on that?
He hoped they bring medium band Panorama back to Trinidad.
Correct.
I wouldn't say I hope, When the Panorama was going to Tobago, I was one of the person who was concerned about infrastructure. That's what I was concerned about. I wasn't concerned about the Panorama going to Tobago because it's Trinbago. You see this Tobago pan and the Trinidad pan, it's Trinbago. I worked with a band in Tobago, Buccaneers, for years. And I have to go through the Trinidad players and Tobago players. Your passport marks Trinidad and Tobago. Your birth paper marks Trinidad and Tobago, unless you wasn't born here. Right? For me, I will always say that because we identified 4 zones in PAN, the North Zone, the East Zone, the South Central, and the Tobago, I don't see why each zone can have a leg at the Panorama. 2 of the best panoramas for me that had medium and large together and finished early was 2007, 2008 in San Fernando. Those panorama finished quick. Nice, I find the stage was nice, screen in the back, and it finished early. At that point in time, I was saying, even then, I would like to see Tobago host one of the Panorama, and up in the East host one of the Panorama. And it spread. So if they want the medium band to come back to Trinidad, fine. But then we can send our next Panorama to Tobago. Right? It might make sense to come back to Trinidad now, not because it might make sense to come back to Trinidad because it did 4 years in Tobago, but maybe not for the Savannah. Maybe to our next zone. Maybe for our next zone. So you could put the medium band in South now, because the small band plays in South for the finals. Venue is the problem. If you have a venue in Arima that can hold the medium bands, for the medium bands in the East. I don't see no problem with the Panorama going to different zones for the finals.
So, someone said, Roland, tonight they need to bring back zonal panorama. That's what you're saying. Why, for the rest of the, oh, I guess he was rebutting what you say. Why, for the rest of the bands around the country, competition seems to belong to North bands?
Again, so we want to call our policy. I agree with bringing back the zonal competition and the Panorama. Right? Last year, South had a zone finals. Right? So I agree with bringing back the zonal and the Panorama. The Panorama years ago was a tighter Panorama. You played in semi-finals Tuesday night, and you have finals Saturday. So you qualify for the finals, you come sixth or you come second, or you win the semi-finals. Here is the problem. Although you win the semi-finals, the band that is defending champ was in the semi-finals. Them in the pan are practicing while you play in the semi-finals to come for you Saturday. So and Panorama is to finish in 2 weeks. Now we have, well, we don't have 2 weeks again because you had the medium band Panorama in the middle now and then you had the large at the end. But yeah, we could bring back the zonal competition. That'll be nice to have the zonal competition. But however, like in South last year, what they did for the zone, all the bands played in the zone. So they cut all the bands down to the smallest number. So the eventual chance was Fusion Steel, right? Because, well, that's a good song, of course. But they were more comfortable because they were able to play with the full side, which is 60. The large band had to cut down from the 125 to meet the 60. Because you had a limit, you have a limit in the zone. If you want it to be tough, let everybody play with what they're supposed to play with.
Okay, so Humble African said, I just want to know if money supersedes tradition, and I guess that was based on around the conversation with the charging for events, the amount of money we charge for.
If money supersedes competition?
Yeah. Not competition, tradition.
So is it that it should be done for free? Because listen, steelpan, I was researching symphony orchestras and how much the people who had played the symphonies paid. Right? Okay. So I see in one instance where people making $2,500 to $4,000 a week. Right? Now taking into consideration that the outlet that they have is all the opera houses and people paying to go to see them perform and whatnot, that could happen. If we do support pan tuners have the family to feed, we can't put a tag wrong with neck and ball, we involve in pan when we go in the grocery. We ain't getting nothing we ain't getting a discount. There's no discount for pan men in the grocery, the pharmacy, by the doctor, whatever. We have to find the money to pay for it. The pan tuners who working hard over these drums, some of them using drums that had poison in it, just to make this instrument to people to be happy. They shouldn't be compensated. We have to be compensated. Tradition, or what we want to call tradition, that's how it was back then. Somebody told me a couple of nights ago, they got $15 when they played pan in 1982 or something like that. And we grew up hearing that. In our generation of pan, when the one had to pay, we ain't talking about they was getting $1 back in the 70s and the 60s, and we was like, well, okay. $1, what was the worth of $1 back then? What was the worth of $1? When I used to go to school in the primary school in the 70s, I used to go to school with 5 cents and I used to get plenty. $1 can even buy what I used to get for 5 cents when I used to go to school back then. Biscuit and milk biscuit from the tin and all them different things. So everything changed. The price of bread now, it might be double from the price of bread 10 or 15 years ago. So money had to supersede tradition.
So, Humble African did clarify what his comment was with respect to. He was actually making that comment with respect to your opinion about the drag, in terms of having to pay to go on the drag.
Oh, I say pay to go on the drag?
I
I say more people, the drag have more people
no.
than the people who in the stands. But since you bring up that, you should pay to come on the drag.
I put those in it.
You always want to do that, but that is nothing. But you should pay to come on the drag. Block it off, let the bands move free, and pay to come and hear the bands play coming on the drag. Because right now, between the vendors who want the car to be on the drag where the pants passing and don't want to move for the pants to pass, and the people who do telling the pants, you ain't see me sign up here, watch all you going. Better you pay to come on the drag.
Okay, sorry. I probably spoke out of time. But his reference was say you comment on the track. Alright, so to wrap up, what would you say is was the highlight of the Panorama 2025 season? And I guess a low point for you.
What was my low point in the Panorama? Not being in the finals with Funclair.
Okay.
Or not being in the finals with Funclair for the Panorama. There was a mishap on stage. I'm still trying to figure it out. So, but I'm not saying that is the reason why we're not in the finals. But of course, if you don't make it to the finals, that is a low point. And I think Fusion was the highlight of the Panorama for me, because even up to now, people will still talk about what Fusion did on that stage final night. And from the different angles, people saw it at, especially the clip from the rhythm section. A lot of people asked what was really happening. Because, as I mentioned, the conducting, they put on the fog machine, so the players wasn't seeing me through the fog. Not realizing that the cell phone were happening. Not realizing that was happening. I was looking back at the clock because we had cut the song thinking we was overtime. And we had more to go, and that's why I was holding the note longer. And as the fog started to get clear, I didn't realize they wasn't seeing me, honestly. But it had to get clear, and I just overdo holding the note. I cut off the band. So when after you see the video, you realize the rhythm section was balling because they weren't really seeing me through the fog. Mm-hmm. But I held the note long enough so that the phase settled, and then they actually saw when I moved the band to the next part. So that was nice.
So sounds okay. Okay, I'm hearing, I guess Humble African is still talking about the drag and Humble African, let me know if that's true. So it said it sounds like an organizational issue. And I guess that's what they comment with respect to defenders and, the people on the drag themselves who interrupt
the flow of the bands, right?
Right. Sounds like you need new minds in the production. New minds are always welcome. And Zachary says, please do more of these. Yes, Zachary, more of these are coming. It's a challenge that I made to myself for this year. I want to conduct more interviews. And I do have more interview videos coming. Right now they're on my computer. My computer is maxed out in memory. So I have to reach home to clear up space to edit those videos to you. So Ben, thanks again for your time. Do you have any other thing that you want to touch on before we say bye to everyone?
Well, I already touched on, but I just want to say to you, the work that you have been doing behind the scenes with covering the steel band. We met in New York when you came to tape the band. We didn't run you out the pan yard. You were welcome. And, it's surprising. It was surprising to me to see how much of the people in the fraternity know of the work you do and actually appreciate the work you do. So people seeing their band from different angles. Finals, I was home looking at the Panorama, and by looking at your stream, I realized that, it had chaos for a band to come and be Savannah. Even that, the Savannah in block off, bands can't move as they want to, the cars coming through. And I know that you were getting fights all different corners, but nothing good comes without a fight. Right? If you look at the bands that are on top, you will get fights. You want to be the right man, go on top of the tree. People go pell big stone behind you to get you off. So keep doing what you're doing, and to your followers and stuff, people, subscribe, make contribution, because this lady in Trinidad, just now they will come to look for her because she don't live here. Right?
Nobody looking for me. I am a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, so I am home.
Born here and live here is two different things. But on all serious note, subscribe, because the contribution that is coming from your channel, spreading what we do, even in the little corners. I remember when you did the UTT stuff and they were here panning that light before. That is a good thing, because you're highlighting the young ones who in UTT preparing themselves with the little concerts that they just have. And just keep doing your thing.
Thank you. We do have, I think, one question. I do try to focus on the track. It eases my nerves before I go on stage. So people are in support of, the track.
I remember the conch used to be used as a thing.
So Simone asked, I remember the count used to be done without listening to a device. What is an advantage? What is the advantage of it? I've heard this as well during the season.
Time is the device, because you have this time to play. And so sometimes when you have the song arranged and you need to be comfortable, you use the metronome to keep together that tempo to count at. My preference is not the metronome. One of the things I learned from Carrie Quadrington is always sing the hardest part of the song in your mind and be comfortable with that at that tempo and then count. But because you don't want to go past that 8 minute barrier to start to lose points, you always try to set the tempo that you want to use on the stage, so you use the metronome to give you back that tempo that you got. Every time you play, you will run with a different tempo, and when I drill in, sometimes I use a faster tempo at times, very slow and a faster tempo. But the metronome is to keep a reminder that at this tempo, you should be okay with the 8 minutes, and the band is more comfortable here.
Okay, thank you. Right, so just one last comment I'll be addressing. Panorama in the 70s and 80s was more competitive. Why? In order to be in the finals, I lost it. In order to be in the finals,
you have to qualify on the zone, like 1, 2, 3, and these bands are the finals. Okay. So I would agree that it used to be more competitive because it was one Panorama, right? So how it used to be, everybody playing the zone. So Northeast in the Savannah, South and South Tobago and Tobago. Then the top 16 overall bands qualify for the finals. But the defending champ will not play in the semi-finals. So the band that comes 17 will play in the semi-finals. And then 11 for those bands will take on the defending champ on Panorama finals. In between that, you could have not made it to the semi-finals, but finished in the top 8 band in your zone, you will play what we call the zone finals. Right? So like we say, the North Zone had 10 bands, but only the top 4 bands made it to the finals. You will have a finals with the top 8 bands to crown the champion at the zone. Okay. Right? So there is something that, and I forget this point, so there is something, since it's come out, what I address. Large, medium, small, and single pan was not always Panorama. So Renegades have what, 13 Panorama? 13? Why does I all of a sudden I forget that? I just had them think to the back of my head, right? Renegades have 13 Panoramas, right? Renegades. No, but it's 13. Yeah. Renegades have 13 Panorama titles. This is what I will say. Of the 13 Panorama titles, 4 is in the large band category of the Panorama. and 9 was when we had one conventional panorama. They separate the bands into small, medium, and large because you find the other bands wasn't getting the opportunity, right? In 1989, and you see, a lot of people put this out there and talk about who have so much large band panorama title. So if Renegades won Panorama in 1994, now that's called one of the years. So if we say that that was the large band panorama that Renegades won in 1994, I want somebody to tell me who won the medium and who won the small in 1994. In 1989, they started a competition called Best of the Rest. This competition was to facilitate, I think, the 10 bands that just missed the semifinals. And will you believe, a lot of people didn't know this, that All Stars was in the first ever Best of the Rest? We just say these bands win at all costs, right? If they just win at all costs, All Stars was in the first Best of the Rest. I was able to rebound and build back themselves and man come. So we used to have a competition called Best of the Rest from 1989, I think that when we started by 94 or something, we had a Best of the Rest competition. We never had categorized Panorama, right? Because if you ask somebody, who win Panorama 2025? Exodus. That answer is wrong.
Yeah, I get those questions.
Exodus won the large band category of the Panorama 2025. Cats and Jammers won the medium band category of Panorama 2025. So we still try to label it down. And this is the same people who complain about the bands that keep winning or whatever the case is. But you don't want to separate it and agree that all the winners from the category is Panorama champs. They are all Panorama champs, but of different categories. So we have to start to respect that also, because then we start to go down. There's the Facebook people. That's my comic relief when the day come. Who arranger win the most Panorama? You know who win the most Panoramas? Duvon Stewart. Plenty of people going and disagree. But Duvon Stewart won the most Panorama. More than 10 in single, a couple small, 6 straight in the medium, 4 large. Isn't it Panorama? And this is some of the things that we had to change the way we address, especially when you're trying to talk to the younger people who come in the game, right? You had to separate it. You had to make it known and be clear of what you're really talking about, what is really a question. Don't ask me who win Panorama 2025. Ask me who win the medium band category or the large band category. That's the way it is. Ask me who win Panorama in 1993. Right? Or Renegades. 94 was Desperados, not Renegades. Right? 95, 1997 was Renegades. Right? First steel band to win a hat trick. Jet was the first arranger to win a hat trick. And then Bradley, right after, was the second arranger to win a hat trick, but with 2 different bands. That was then. From 2003 for the categorized Panorama. And it became different. So now we talk about Panorama winners.
Okay. How many Panoramas have you competed in? As one, both player and drill master and otherwise?
As a player, not much, I think the last time I played Panorama was 1996. So that could be about 12 years I played in Panorama. I was in Canada for Panorama 1997. And when I came back, I honestly didn't feel, I think I had something different to contribute to it, and I just went to a different angle. with it, being with success and whatever. But my true thing, and the people who know me know I like the festivals and the classical more than the panorama. That's why I choose to do it. I arrange at junior band level, but that's why I like more. So I didn't do much playing, and then from then to now, I've been drilling in the
So
panorama.
as a drill master, in terms of, and even with the different categories, do you keep track of how many panoramas that, well, you've taken part in? Not seasons, but panoramas.
Well, I've been drilling while I was playing too. So
Okay.
I started to, well, I've always, as long as I know I drill,
Oh, okay.
for as long, let me say from 94, let me say from 1994, because after playing for Tokyo, I fell in love with Ray Holman music. Right, I played in Tokyo with Ray Holman from 1989. And 1992, Ray left Tokyo. I don't know where he went. And then I ended up buying hummingbirds. I went to check a friend by hummingbirds. And when I reached, Ray was actually arranging hummingbirds. And as soon as he see me, he said, Benny, I see you are coming. And I played with hummingbirds for 2 years. And then Ray went to Phase 2. At that time, I was with Panites. Panites started in 1994. I took them to the festival that same year, and I was with Panites from then, and I was drilling Panites from 95 to now.
Okay. So we're counting years. So that's
In years?
So that's what 31 years? Am I counting right? 31 years?
You want to go from 95 to now?
About
Yeah,
30 years?
that's 30 years.
Okay. All right.
Plenty, eh? And a do win.
Of course.
I'm a winner in my own rights. A lot of the younger ones and who they always asking for advice on how to do it. So I always say to my players at the end of the day, don't let 5 people or 6 people hired to give an opinion be the final judge of what you can do to contribute in the steel band world. I don't ever take results serious. And people who do and be around me, they will know that I don't ever I take performance serious, not results.
Okay. So again, thanks, Ben. I know I've gone over time, but thanks very much
You're welcome.
for kicking this off. Right?
You're welcome.
And again, thanks everyone for joining. It was a pleasure, of course, getting some information. Congratulations, Ben. Thanks for sharing some of your institutional knowledge. I remember the days in Lydian Steel. Keep up the great work in the pan world. That's Jennifer Jones Morales.
Okay.
Shonda Rodney says very good words. Yes. So thanks again, everyone. And this is the first of hopefully many to come. I do have some stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes. So as soon as they become available, you'll be the first to know. You all have a good afternoon. And thanks again. Bye bye. Right. I actually have to hit a button. Oh wait, Shonda, I just saw you contributed to my channel. Thanks so much for your contribution.